Yanni everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of August 30th, 2020. This channel supports Black Lives Matter, and we believe that fundamental actual change cannot occur until we defund the police and support social services. On the cover, we have, I'm 99% sure this is another fucking Exorcist series. Why? Every single time, Phantom Seer! I mean, I don't know how this could be a series where I would not give it the title of yokai series. Boy, I was looking through the last 2 years of jump starts, and there have been brief periods where we haven't had a new one, but it's been pretty wall to wall in terms of is there a yokai series running in Jump? Are there multiple? It's real weird because I mean, sure, part of it is Japanese culture, sure, but a lot of them also just straight up fail. It is like if we had a Western movie every single year in Hollywood, like if we had multiple blockbuster Hollywood Westerns. Not to say that we don't have Westerns occasionally, but it's so rare now. And it is an occasional throwback. It is hey, people like Westerns. Why don't we do something, to play off of that? As opposed to we're certain that people love Westerns and they're gonna watch this Western again. I mean, I guess there is I guess it's different because there are a number of really good series that do fit the mold of yokai series that have continued to be very popular. So it is a lot closer to superheroes, for instance. Like seeing a deluge of superhero movies in studios that are doing extremely well, and then just pumping out bad superhero movie after bad superhero movie to try and glom onto some of that popularity. Except it feels like this has been going on for 50 years. Anyways, we're not going to do that right now. Also, I got a new prescription, and so the blurry key in the front of this is really messing with me. Because I'm already, occasionally looking at things, and they look really out of focus, they look kind of weird. So right now, my eyes are bugging out trying to focus on this key that is intentionally drawn to be out of focus, and it's really bothering me. Alright, so let's kick it off with Black Clover, chapter 262. It always throws me off whenever we start the chapter and I don't have a chapter title to read. Also, by the way, you may have noticed there's chat up in the corner, even though I'm not live streaming this part. I'm just gonna keep chat on, regardless of whether I'm live streaming or not. For Weekly Shonen Jump, I should say, not for everything I do. But for Weekly Shonen Jump, it's been, in the last 3 reactions, in 2 of them, I have not put up chat. It's bad. I'd rather just leave it up there and have it be static for a little bit, than lose it during the actual live stream. Man, even after seeing the way Astas are supposed to look in color, I do think that's impressive, but even then, that doesn't really give me the feeling of this arm is the definition of power. And in black and white, it still looks so lame to me. I don't know what Yuki Tabata could do with it to make it look better. Now that we've committed to a design for it, it'd be really weird if it then looks 100% different. I really think if the gray parts went fully white, if this was just a transition of of how it's looking, if it was going to change once again and then fully become black and white, or black and red, I think that'd be so much better. Okay, I was thinking for a moment oh, maybe his thing is that he's contracted with a really weak devil, because Gimodello is so tiny. But okay, so this is supposed to be more of a chibi form. Yeah. Now I'm actually very curious, if I were to go through the series again, do we have any hints towards Yami, having, not necessarily the vice captain being a devil host, because we've seen, the tiniest glimpse of him in the past, so sure. But, have we seen anything from Yami or from any of the other Black Bulls that would make it seem as if they've had experience with a devil host before? Okay, huh. So never mind, yeah, they've never met him. He's only been there once. That actually does fit Yami quite a bit. For him to assign the vice captain, and then for the vice captain to not be part of the team in the slightest. In that case, I mean, I guess is it just an arbitrary, I like you, so you're the vice captain? Or is it something where, he needs to have the rank of vice captain at, as a member of one of the companies? in order to do X or Y thing. Okay, yeah, so he has been undercover the whole time. Like, presumably then, like, since he joined the Black Bulls, he's been undercover. Also, that does bring up the question of, like, where... Like, his grimoire has a diamond on it. So, like, is he native to the Diamond Kingdom and then he went back as a double agent? Or did he do something to his grimoire? I mean, this... It is the classic smackdown of, oh, I didn't sense anything there. But at the same time, like, it is very possible that everything we've seen up to now has been a very, like, shallow use of the Devil's power. I would be really curious to see, like... How do I put this? Like, anti-magic is not literally just not magic. It is a physical thing. Like, Asta can push people around with it. He can fly with it. Like, it is a literal physical force. So I think what they might be doing here is, like, a lot of the series thus far has been just, here's this way to use anti-magic. But it hasn't really been focusing on how to use, like, we haven't really talked about Asta using it as straight-up magic, even though that is what he does a lot of the time. Even though, like, all of his big sword slashes and stuff, like, those are, like, buffs. But we don't, like, talk about that very much. So maybe that's what this is going to be. Okay, Black Clover, page 262, a turbulent conference. I mean, I guess this is the big ol', like, what do we do about this? Also, the Golden Dawn is gone. What do we do about that? Huh, I wonder if this makes Yuno the acting captain of the Golden Dawn. Man, I am happy that now the Black Bulls are in a state right now where they aren't the constant underdogs, not the constant, like, no one will believe them. Like, this is from now on, they will be in situations where they can go to Julius. I mean, they've always been able to kind of go to Julius, but they can now have the full weight of the Clover Kingdom behind their actions, as opposed to just kind of being, a small group of rogues that no one really cares about. And maybe this will tie into the, like, before this arc, we had those 2 chapters of Charlotte freaking over how much she's in love with Yami. Like, I thought that was more of a palate cleanser than anything else, but maybe that is going to be extremely important then. Like, I didn't even consider the fact that she would be all torn up over this. I mean, I guess we haven't determined whether... Jack's power does work on devils, right? So I guess he wouldn't really have a problem. Like, his ability is fundamentally just good at everything. Or, I mean, killing everything. Okay, is he going to specifically have Jack do something? Because, yeah, like, of all the captains here, he's the only one that really has an ability that I think would work, like, that would be extremely good in this situation. You better not be planning to march into the Spade Kingdom. That is not the impression I got at all. Like, is it then that he's so mad about this that he wants to do a one-man rescue mission? I guess it is that Yami, like, because he's so slovenly, because he kind of just doesn't care, he does it, like, he is the tank of the conference, if that makes any sense. Like, everyone else is so mad at him on a, in a background way, that they can then be more clear-headed when they talk to each other. Hot damn, that's the end of the chapter? Oh my god! Boy. That was so... I mean, to be fair, not a whole lot really happened in the chapter, so... And I do think this was fine. Like, it is a breather. We haven't had an actual breather in a long time. Like, even last chapter, I would say, that's not a breather. That was extremely emotional. Whereas this was a, like, let's have everyone group up and talk about this and, express some of their emotions. Like, now we know they're all on the same side. They all want to, they all want to get Yami back. Except for the, God, what were they again? The Purple Rhinos? I mean, their captain's not even here. Their captain's still in prison, right? But do they have, like, a representative here? Actually, is this guy the Purple Rhino man? Or, like, his vice captain or something. He's the only one I don't immediately recognize. Anyways, pretty average chapter. Not super high hopes for how it's going to compare to everything else. But, yeah, it was fine. I mean, it's a very... What would the term for this be? It was a very necessary chapter. It is, like, I'm glad it was there for the volumes, but week to week, it was very meh. Anyways, that is Black Clover. Next, we have We Never Learn, chapter 171, Tomorrow Night's Pixie, part 3. Okay, so it's a swimmy chapter. I mean, they are on an island, so fair. Has every single girl had a swimming chapter? I guess, Furuhashi hasn't, but the others have. I mean, I assume this is not, like, a swimmy chapter, because Kominami doesn't really have anything to do with water. Like, I assume this is more of just a, they're taking the kids out. I mean, and she's in a wetsuit chapter, sure. Fine. Why? I mean, what is this plan? My immediate thought was, they're gonna kill Yuiga, which does not make sense. Also, wait a minute. Is this bubble just not filled in? Like, it's not even, like, there's not even, like, an exclamation mark or anything in it. It's just purely blank. But yeah, I mean, there's no way this is I'm going to, like, smash you in the face with a rock situation. But what else could it be? Like, clearly they want to get Yuiga in trouble, but I don't know how. For what purpose? Ah, they're just gonna scare him. Okay. How in the world did they set all of this up? Like, this was a, spur of the moment situation. I mean, I guess, yeah, this is an actual, like, whole net thing. How did this happen? Also, to be fair, I mean, like, yeah, this is supposed to be done because he's a kid, but at the same time, I do love the idea of Yuika being caught in a net trap, and then Asumi immediately going, "Oh, you're a loser." Okay, wait, how did they get out of the nets? Oh, never mind. I didn't notice in that panel. Like, they were just ripping out of it, which I guess is fair. Like, there's no reason why they couldn't cut themselves out of the nets. But, like, it was so casual, and I'm so used to series where if someone's in a net, it's unescapable. Or it's going to take a long time because, the point of the net is to have these characters in super close proximity for a long time. Oh, that is a good point. Like, he looks like he's fine, but at the same time, like, that is 90, like, I have no doubt in my mind, regardless of whether he was really hurt or not, he wouldn't let it on that he's hurt, because he is their sensei right now. God, I'm so surprised that we're getting a scene like this in this arc, like in the Kominami arc. Like, because this is, like, it is showing off his really strong teacherly side. Like, this is, I think, it's not the culmination of what we've seen throughout the series, but it is a very clear, like, how do I put it? I would say in a lot of harem series, a big part of it is the immaturity of the characters. Like, it is part of the comedy. It is the reason why, bratty tsundere girl will slap main character over and over again, which doesn't happen in We Never Learn, but still. Like, it is that core, like inability to grow, or that deficiency. I guess deficiency is the best way to put it. Because in a lot of series, like, the deficiency then shrinks over the course of the series, but they don't really get over it until, like, the final arc, perhaps, if they ever get over it. Whereas We Never Learn has been a story about growing as a human being, and, like, getting over your deficiencies in a way that is healthy, and understanding that you do have hangups, and that sometimes if you fix one of your hangups, that doesn't cure you as a person. You might still have some problems that are completely and totally unrelated to that initial thing you wanted to work on. And I think this really gets across Yuiga's, like, extreme patience. The idea that, he can be surrounded by immature people, and, he doesn't have to make them better. He just understands that, okay, I will take this damage, and I will accept that, you are sorry. You do regret this. I'm not stupid. I can tell. There is no reason for you to punish you any further for this. Like, you've already punished yourself. You can already learn from this. And if you aren't clearly learning from it, I'll call you out on it. And I do like the presumed visual shorthand of, I don't remember her name, but, the female classmate is waking up, and that is visual shorthand for Asumi is also almost certainly waking up on his, on his back. So even though he doesn't know that she's conscious, he'll still be honest, and she'll hear it. Now, this shot implies that she's still unconscious, but I don't believe it. I'm certain she heard it. Also, I'm actually really surprised for a situation that could have, because this was a situation that could have, ended with them being very hurt, that we didn't then have Asumi, do some, battlefield triage, like, that she didn't get to show off her healing abilities at all. Like, this was fundamentally just this is why Naruyuki is a good guy chapter, as opposed to this is why she is a good nurse chapter. Leaving it ambiguous. Also, this is nah, it's not that great. I was gonna say it's a cool effect that, this is the night sky, but at the same time you could see it as the night sky reflecting on the water, and then she's splashing into it. But I feel like this could have been composited a bit better if that was the intended effects. Or, like, we could have had some ripples or something. So as it is, it looks more like just a stock image pasted over the night sky. But overall, it was fine. It's I'd say it's the most workmanlike of the chapters we've had thus far in Tomorrow Night's Pixie. Also, having it be on the water is a really strange vibe for me, because it does make it feel like Taishi Susui wants to do a water chapter for every girl, except he didn't for one of them. And then also, like, this one is sort of, I guess it's okay because of the islands that they're on. Like, in the same way that none of the arcs were solely, you know, 2 characters. They were all like, hey, let's do a bunch of stuff, except for Erika's. It's so hard to classify these, because, yeah, every single arc does at least one thing that is unique, or one thing that doesn't really fit into all of the others. And I guess that's fine in its own way. But it makes it very hard for me to make broad, sweeping statements, because I then want to immediately correct myself and say, oh, but except for that one arc. I guess ultimately that means I have to say that these arcs are all, like, actually interesting and different in their own ways. For better or for worse, some of them aren't my favorites, but they've all been decent. Like, each of them has been a volume that I probably would buy if they were out in English. I take that back for, I don't want Furahashi's arc, so never mind. All of the others, I think, have something good to them, but I did not care for Furahashi's at all. I dropped the series for it temporarily. I mean, I read it, but I didn't read it on the channel, which I think is a pretty good indication of I didn't really care about it. So that is We Never Learn. It obviously goes above Black Clover this week. And now, new to the pre-recordeds, we have Me and Roboco, Chapter 7. It's so, like, I thought it was charming at first, and I still think it's charming. But I find it so weird that, like, a big part of Me and Roboco now seems to just be the characters really like Roboco to the point where they do a bunch of stuff with her off chapter. Like, we've had multiple chapters now where they just reference doing, like, not important things, not like plot things even, but, you know, just doing stuff with Roboco outside of the chapters. And, like, I don't know if we're supposed to be building up a general, like, you know, we want to make sure that the kids have a really good rapport with her, or I don't know. It feels very weird for a gag series in particular, or for an early, like, for the first volume of a gag series. Later on, I usually expect more things like, oh yeah, I remember when we hung out after school that one time or something. But right now, while we're still establishing things, like while we're still setting up the cast, it feels so weird for everyone to be so extremely, like, into Roboco as a human being, or as a, well, made robot, I should say, but a person. I guess person is the best way to put it. She definitely has personhood. Wait, what? They say there's a tunnel between our world and the spirit worlds. Okay, well, that's a development. Now, I will not say that this makes Roboco a yokai series, but this is what happened in Yu Yu Hakusho. This is what I assume is going to happen in, I forgot the name already, Phantom Seer. Like, especially from the cover. It gives me very big, there's a tunnel between our world and spirit world vibes, which makes me also wonder, like, did the Me and Roboco mangaka specifically set this up to debut along with this chapter? Or did they set this up as a joke to be played alongside this new Jumpstarts? I also cannot get over, like, it's not really, it is a gag. It is repeatedly a gag, but it is also just their characterization of they aren't bad people. No matter what is happening, if it ever seems exploitative, they always have a good reason why they're doing it, and it's not that they're creating an excuse to do bad things. It is fundamentally they want to do good things, but they present it in a bad way. Ah, he's gonna put the moves on Madoka. By the way, is this hat supposed to be a Tokyo Shinobi Squad reference? Or is it... It feels like it has to be, but I don't know why it would be, especially now. Like, Tokyo Shinobi Squad and Me and Roboco never overlapped in serialization, right? I'll be chillin' like Krillin. Why? How did that work? Who's the translator for this? Paul Starr. Because, yeah, basically he uses slang in a way that makes it feel like, yeah, this is definitely, it works in the series itself. It never feels like he's punching up the dialogue. Like, when he has, Bondo say, I played myself. Bondo does seem like the kind of character who would say, I played myself. It plays really well with him. Like, all of the teen slang by kids who are, super, super young works really well. Now, of course, we are setting up the joke of Roboco is terrified of ghosts, right? Especially since, I mean, this could do a Scooby-Doo. We could have the end point of, well, there are no real ghosts. This was all a misunderstanding or something. But it feels much more in line with the series for there to actually be a portal to the underworlds in the cemetery. Okay, so they're Ghostbusters. Of course, they're doing the classic. Let's split up, and then we'll, we're not going to really do it. We're just gonna spook them. Now, I don't know if I'd consider that part wholesome. I mean, I guess so. I guess he is just saying, in case Bondo dies at some point, we'll have a good memory. As opposed to I initially read it as, maybe we're going to kill Bondo, and as a result of that, we need to make sure we have good memories. Oh no, is Mako possessed? Okay, I mean, it's gotta be an actual ghost, right? There's nowhere we're gonna play this off as being a misunderstanding. Oh, it's just a temple demon. Okay, that's fine. Oh no, her art style! I swear to God, if this art style change is consistent for the rest of the chapter, I'm gonna lose my mind. It does seem like this is just one illustration that was flipped, though, so... I mean, I say that as if you can't just keep on using that one image for the entire chapter. No, never mind, they changed it already. Also, this actually does look, like... I wouldn't say it's creepy, but it does have the creepy aesthetic down really well. Like, it doesn't look like the rest of the series. Which also makes me think, like, I wasn't sure if this was drawn by the mangaka or if this was, like, some sort of stock image or something, but I guess this must... Like, I guess the mangaka just is good at the style. I mean, when I say this style, I mean just adding a little more shading and stuff, but still. So I guess, this does bring up the question of, why would Roboco be scared of ghosts? Like, is it just that... Is it that she doesn't perceive this ghost as a ghost, and therefore, like, she can't be afraid of it? Or is it that, like, she was designed to be afraid of ghosts, but because, because she doesn't have any information about what ghosts actually are, she can still be fine around ghosts? I mean, I guess her dialogue does imply that she just straight up does not understand that this girl is a ghost. Wait, she buys the tendies? That raises so many more questions now. It also makes her ability to print tendies much less interesting if she just buys them. Meanwhile, Gotcha Gorilla and company have been wandering the spirit world. Okay. I mean, generally I'm a fan of the series. Gotta say, this was a pretty uninspired ghosts are real chapter. Like, it was fun in its own right. And I do, like, the core gag of Roboco not understanding that this girl is in fact a ghost was very funny. But everything else was kind of eh. I mean, I do think with a gag series, you really just need the one good gag for it to be worth the entire chapter, but at the same time, like, that's so lenient. So I cannot in good faith put that above We Never Learn or Black Clover. Plus, in general, like, that is not up to the general standards I hold Roboco to. Like, if we get 2 more chapters like this, I'm dropping the series. But hopefully we won't. Like, it's been pretty, like, consistently good for the past 6 chapters, so we'll see. That is it for the pre-recordeds. Next time I see you, it'll be for the live stream. Alright, now it is the live stream segment. I am recording it. I wasn't before, but now I am. In chat, as you can see, we are already talking about this. I brought it up at the start of the pre-recordeds. I am 99% sure this is going to be another yokai series. I mean, you got yokai in the background, and by yokai, I should probably clarify that I do mean monsters in general, not specifically Japanese yokai. But yeah, so there's really no doubt about it. The big question then is, since Bone Collection ended last week, this started this week. We can then say that, okay, Phantom Seer killed Bone Collection, quote-unquote, or, it's replacing Bone Collection. So, does it deserve to replace Bone Collection? Ooh, it's an author-artist duo. Cool. Alright, well, that's enough stalling. That's enough pre-show. Let's jump into the actual chapter with... Oh no, this is Mitama Security. This is Phantom Seer, Chapter 1. By the way, I was reading the extra chapter of Mitama. It was fine. They say if something strange and mysterious occurs, he's a guy you can rely on. And so he already has that key from the opening. My theory for the series was because it's a key, because there's a door, that this was going to be the classic main character opens the door and then releases a bunch of yokai into the world, and then he's the one responsible for trapping all of them, or he is the one responsible for putting them all back. It does seem like he already has it, assuming that this is in fact the main character. Ooh, okay, Phantom Seer, Chapter 1, The Boy with Psychic Powers. Story by Toko Goto, arced by Kento Matsuura. Now, I believe for this and the next two, like, new series starting in Jump, I looked them up before. I definitely don't remember these two in terms of their previous works, but I'll look them up again after this chapter. Yeah, speech panels are really cool here. Like, I do appreciate that they do censor his head. So, I mean, he's got the key here, so clearly that is in fact him back there. We've got a extremely generic girl who is being chased perhaps by the spirits, and then we have this other girl who reminds me a little of Joker from Fire Force, but I mean, it's also a pretty generic evilish design. It reminds me a little of Envy from Fullmetal Alchemists. Like, there's a bunch of stuff there. I could see the Death Note vibes. I don't think the coloring is like detailed enough for the Death Note style, like especially the hair. But yeah, I can see it. So, guessing off of this in general, I would envision then that this lady is the one who opened up the doors to the yokai worlds. He has the key because he has to put them all back, and so he can temporarily open the door and throw yokai in and then close it again. And she, of course, is the classic girl who has too much spiritual energy, and as such, yokai are attracted to her, and so he has to protect her. Like, especially because the yokai are all, like, reaching out towards her, and, I guess she's running with the yokai, so she could also be a yokai. But I don't know if I trust the series enough from the one page I have read thus far to ascribe that unique a dynamic to it. Also, the title is The Ghost, or The Boy with Psychic Powers, not, like, the Ghost Hunter or anything. So maybe this is a situation where he has psychic powers and they're separate from the ghost stuff. Maybe. Yeah, now this is a classic opening. Which, I mean, it's classic for a reason. It's very easy to understand a character when the first thing you see them do is help a kid. And I can do one special thing. Okay, so I'm assuming then that, like, she can sense ghosts, but she doesn't know that. It's just, like, she can inherently go, okay, like, there is a yokai that's about to attack, so I can stop people before the attack hits. Mashal is not axed yet. I have not read it in a while, and I don't think I will ever read it on the channel, because it is a series, I mean, apart from the chapters I've already read, of course, but, like, from the chapters I've read off channel, it is not a series that I can talk about. Like, it is a very, like, I can click through the pages, and then it's done. There's so little for me to talk about. Okay, so why is he interested in her then? I mean, this doesn't seem like the traditional, oh, she just has overflowing power thing. I mean, I guess it could be, but it also seems like he's, like, overflowing with power in a different way then. Okay, he's got seals all over the place. Okay, so I think I've got a handle on his deal, which is, like, clearly he's acting as if he is very self-centered, and he may in fact be self-centered. But then the reason why he, defeats evil spirits and protects other people is fundamentally because those spirits want to attack him. Like, that's why he stays in this room most of the time, because it's protected from spirits. And so just as a consequence of protecting himself, he also saves other people. I mean, if she can't sense that, then I guess that kind of throws the idea of her having powers out of the window. Or rather, they may be powers that are just kind of, like, rubbing off onto her. Ah, yes, this is not a ghost, it's a, in quotes, phantom. This page is something that bothers me, but at the same time, it is a necessary evil in a series like this. Like, everyone knows generally what this is. Like, I didn't need to read this to know what their deal is. I could have assumed it. But at the same time, you do need to state it. If you don't state it, then you have the opposite problem of, well, you didn't define what exactly these yokai do. It seems you've encountered ... a phantom. Oh, his older sister. Is that the lady from the cover? Or, from the color spread, I meant. So she's got the extra powerful psychic abilities. I actually do think that'd be cool then if, like, if she is the person in the chair, if she's the one directing the whole series, and then he's, just kind of like following her orders to an extent. The super long hair also indicates to me that, like, most likely, not that she can't leave this area, but that she most likely has some sort of, like, control ability or some sort of, like, uh, what would you call that? Just like an ability to see and or touch everything. Like, she's tapped into things. Clairvoyance is what I'm thinking of now that I think about it. Okay, so I guess we have our first quests. Now, I guess the question then is, like, is, the woman who was outside the train, like, is that someone who cursed her, or was that the spirit that is now on her? He's got the strong Sun thus far, which, I mean, it is, of course, a natural consequence of going hard Sun with a character that I'm not going to immediately like them. So, big question is, will he grow on me by the end of this first chapter? Yeah, like, I'm not against asshole protagonists. It's just, you gotta have a protagonist that is, like, abrasive enough to be, like, be himself, be an interesting character, while at the same time being a character I can read for 18 pages at a time. So I'm really, really hoping that, that he grows on me. The brother-sister dynamic is actually a really good way to then take someone like him and force him into situations where, he clearly doesn't want to do it, but he's still doing it, and you can't say, well, you cannot use that as a way to say that he's just being tsundere, or that, he's lying about his true motives. Like, he can genuinely not want to do it. Also, I do appreciate his expressions. His expressions are very good. Like, this artist in general is quite good at, like, switching between the serious expressions, the extremely, like, low-res SD expressions, and then, like, a mix of the two. Oh, are the talismans to protect him from his sister, perhaps? I mean, clearly it doesn't really work that well. No. I guess it has to be, the talismans are still to protect him from spirits, or phantoms, but, like, she's so powerful that she can destroy them if she wanted to. This shot also implies to me then that this is not a special key, or, like, it's not like it's the only key to the underworld or anything. Like, it is just something that a shaman would have. I see this mangaka has looked at my complaints and gone, don't worry, I'm not going to write a yokai series or an exorcist series. I'm going to write a Phantom series about shamans. This addresses all of my complaints. I mean, it feels like we're definitely building towards some sort of dark twist with her. Like, she's super idealistic, she's got this ability, but it doesn't seem like we're building towards a, he gets in over his head and then she saves him using her ability. Like, this is clearly, at the very least, my guess would then be that because there's a spirit haunting her, like, that's the reason why she has this ability, and, like, once they exercise it, she'll be completely normal. So he just doesn't want to get her hopes up over, like, the possibility of helping other people with this ability. This also raises the question of, why does she need him to do this then? Like, is she trying to train him to be a better shaman? Is she trying to fix his horrible personality? Because, like, if she's powerful enough to shake the entire room from where she's sitting, then you'd assume she'd be able to also just exorcise spirits from wherever she's sitting, right? Like, there's definitely a reason to have a character arc in there somewhere. Okay, now, are they just in the tunnel, or have they entered some sort of reality marble? Yes, we've entered another realm. Ah, that's a good point. Actually, to be fair, those might not even be his talismans. That could have been a threat of, I gave you those talismans, and they'll protect you, but if you don't do what I say, I'll just remove my power from them. Huh, so she definitely seems way more affected by this than he is. So maybe we are going to go for they do have two separate but, mutually beneficial abilities. Oh, okay, that's a cool aesthetic. Like, the eyes with hands is so good. That's definitely a print I'd like to have on a t-shirt or something. Oh, it might be that. Okay, so, even though you want to help people, your ability might actually put the people around you in danger. Like, are they saying that she is a phantom, perhaps? What you see are, Araki quotes, poltergeists, phantoms that only cause small annoyances. No, never mind. So, it is exactly what I said at the start, that she just attracts phantoms. Although this is actually a little worse than what I said, because my assumption was the classic, she has so much power so much like raw power that she's attracting phantoms. Whereas this seems to just be it's not that she's particularly powerful, it's just that she has a natural ability to attract phantoms to herself. I mean, homie, I've seen this one 500 times. Like, the one in Ayakashi Triangle, I do think is slightly more interesting because, I mean, from where I stopped, which was, I think, chapter 4, like, we didn't really talk about what a priestess has in that series, like, what a priestess can do with her abilities. We mostly just had her sort of damseled for a while. But there is the implication there that if she has the power to be a priestess, she could then use that great power to help in some way. Whereas, like, the implication of this seems to just be your baits, and you have no better ability than that. Oh. Okay, yeah, these 2 pages look pretty great. Like, they're not, like, a feast for the eyes or anything, but they do give off a really strong, despairing feeling. I feel like she's going to die. I know she won't. I'm certain she won't. But I do get that, like, big despair feeling. It does feel like all hope is lost. So, good, big props on the mangaka for that. The face is the entire body, so she was always in maximum danger. Alright, so, to make up for the lack of doing anything in this chapter, he has to be exceptionally cool in the climax, right? Also, now, these tendrils I assumed were the Okubi, but they also could be the hair of his sister. No, never mind. Definitely the Okubi. Oof. Okay, it chomped his back. I mean, it seems like it was only a glancing blow. Like, it didn't rip a ton, like a big chunk of his flesh out or anything. But still, yikes. Oh, the shadow is healing his wounds. Now, when he says, I'm the same, does he mean that, just he doesn't want to be, a part of this world? Which is, what he's saying down here. Or is he saying specifically, both of us are the exact same type? Like, we both just attract phantoms. I mean, that would align with the talisman thing from before. A shaman uses the powers of phantoms to expel other phantoms. It's almost as if he is a Kamen Rider wizard, who famously used the power of his inner phantom to dispel other phantoms that were attacking people of the weak. Or rather, he was... I don't want to get into the plot of Kamen Rider Wizard. I did say that completely incorrectly. But rather, he was a person with a phantom inside of him, who was fighting the phantoms inside of other people to stop them from wreaking havoc. Okay, so, I possess the power to control shadows. In other words, I possess really dangerous phantom. Okay, now I was really hoping he would say jargon there. That's actually so much more straightforward than I expected it to be. I do appreciate this design for not looking like a traditional main character phantom or a main character persona or anything. Like, it does look much more brutish and Oni-like. Oh, and he's got, like, the swords all stabbed into his back. Like, yeah, this feels much more monstrous than I was expecting. It's the classic, you thought your big sister, one of the most powerful shamans in all of Japan, was the impressive one, but you are really the truly impressive one. Oh, see, when he said Shadow Step, I immediately assumed this was a speed technique. But no, that's actually pretty cool. If there's no prey when I summon him, then he'll take my life. Which I do appreciate as a, like, in Chapter 1, presumably, like, he's pulling out the big guns. But after this point, he might be a little more hesitant to use it. Because, what if he's fighting a recurring enemy, and the recurring enemy skedaddles, and then Ongyoki proceeds to kill him? I do really like the, like, shadowy arms ripping out of him. Like, this aesthetic of, the black on white, the very, like, chaotic looking lines, like, oh, it's real good. I guess chaotic's the wrong word for this, actually. I was thinking that because they look more like muscle fibers than actual chaos. Like, they are, like, you do see clear bundles that are moving in the same direction. It's just that the bundles are overlapping one another. Oh, yeah, that's what I call edge. Oh, yeah, this is what I call edge. I feel bad for you, Okabe. Both you and I ran into the wrong enemy. The eyeball beads are a really strong aesthetic. And this is also a design where, like, I really hope it doesn't show up constantly, because that would take away from it. But it is such a powerful, impactful design. Like, I really, really do like it. The problem is, I think this might run into a Hellwarden Higama situation where Like, if Akubi is not the main thing he uses a lot of the time, then he might have a bunch of smaller phantoms that he uses, and we don't really see the full extent of what exactly the point of each of them is. Like, I'm happy that the manga went, best foot forward, but I'm also concerned about it. And of course, this is how we take his super selfish attitude and we make it not more palatable, but this is how we show that his viewpoint is, applicable to helping others, while at the same time, it is not, like, contradictory. It is fine to, have this powerful talent or this powerful curse and still want to live a normal life. Oh, yeah, Zaku, you're right. I'm really feeling the strong, he gets to be a character when it's comedic. Ah, I see. Riku is going to keep attracting phantoms, right? People are like her known as, Araki quotes, beckoning hands. Alright, well, that is Phantom Seer. They spelled psychic wrong at the very last page. It's alright. I'll give it one more chapter. Like, there was nothing wrong about it, but there was also very little right about it, which is the real problem. Yeah, I mean, the thing is also, I am spoiled for art at this point, because I do read a lot of series in Jump where I really like the arts. So even if a series has good art, at the same time, like, if the story's not up to par, I won't read it for art alone. Also, of the series I read in Jump, how many of them do the, I attract spirits and so I have to be protected, or, some character has to be protected because they attract spirits? It might only be Phantom Seer, then Ayakashi Triangle, which, I mean, that also, there's a very loose, that's a very loose way of saying I read it, quote unquote. I once read it. Then after that, there's, I mean, Mitama did that, but Mitama's long over. I guess that might be it, actually, yeah. Ghost Reaper Girl. I guess that is it for all the, like, currently ongoing series. And even, like, the monthly series, as far as I remember, none of them do that specifically. Oh, right! Yeah, Yuzakura family has, like, the assassinations, and Burn the Witch. I can't believe I forgot about Burn the Witch. Burn the Witch explicitly does that with, I want to say Bondo, but that's not his name, Yugo, I believe. It's well worn. And like a well-worn slipper, it is extremely, like, I get why people want to use it. It's classic. Like, one of my favorite tokusatsu of all time, Garo, immediately does that in the first season, and it works quite well. But at the same time, I mean, I do also have to say, I watched that, 10 years ago at this point. God, oh my god. Garo's over, like, 20 years old at this point. Or, no. There's no way it's 20, but it came out in 2005, so it's 15 right now. Yeah, that's wild. I remember when it was still, like, the edgy alt toku show that no one talks about. But anyways, yeah. I see in chat, yeah, we are in fact up to 7. It's a little too much. But I mean, that's how you get the monsters of the week to attack a specific location every time. Okay, we gotta move on. I'm not saying anything interesting about Phantom Seer, so we'll leave it at that. And, I mean, I don't want to just punch a series over and over again. Like, I find that fun sometimes, but especially for something like Jump, where I want to keep it mostly, like, positive / truthful. Like, I don't want to be digging into a series that I know I'm not liking, so we'll give Chapter 2 a try. We'll see if it, redeems itself, and we'll move from there. By the way, I read up to Chapter 4 of Ghost Reaper Girl, and, I mean, we finally saw Catgirl form, but it wasn't that great, so, wasn't worth it. Would not recommend. In terms of ranking, I should probably paste, I'll do the ranking first, then I'll paste what's going on right now. So, I'm doing, I've got We Never Learn at the very top, then Black Clover, and then Me and Roboco. As a whole, I mean, the art is carrying it, but at the same time, does it carry it above Me and Roboco? Which, incidentally, Me and Roboco spoilers, jump ahead to 30 seconds. In this week's Me and Roboco, a rift between the human world and the world of yokai may or may not have opened. They kind of left it open as to whether that's what happens, but the cemetery is certainly full of actual straight-up spirits. but they aren't specifically attacking one person, so it doesn't fall in. We don't have 8 series in Jump doing this. It's still only 7. Anyways, um, I cannot truthfully put this above me and Roboco. It was like it wasn't my favorite chapter, but at the same time, it was a fine chapter. Whereas Phantom Seer was also just fine. So I'll leave it there. Let me post what's currently going on so you can peruse it at your leisure. And we shall move on to Burn the Witch, Chapter 2. Ghillie suits? Boy, Kubo. Kubo, what does this have to do with anything? I do like the colors, though. I mean, I will never fault Tight Kubo for being able to do a cool composition, and for also being able to write the name of his series in interesting ways that aren't just doing, the normal fonts. At the same way, what part of the series involves pie? Why? I just saw her shirt has chew written on it. I think he was just hungry. Also, I'm not a big fan of the Tight Kubo with the second T written like the cross in Burn the Witch. Like, it feels weird to me, but at the same time, it's fine. Ghillie suits implies to me that they're going to go, like, all the dragons we've seen thus far have been dragons that are in captivity or they're supposed to be in captivity. So I think they might be going out to, like, check out a wild dragon population. Ah, Knife Pie is a big mood. Now, would you say that either of these girls are nice as pie? Because I would highly refuse. I would not say that. Also, where did this pie come from, actually? Neither of these pies, which are the ones that have been cut, correlates to these slices, which are both really thin, like, pie slices. Like, these two are both fairly high-rising. I think she wants to stab herself. Alright, moving on. Oh, okay, so let me process this by saying it out loud. Macy Baldura abruptly exited Cecile Die twice last week, and we still have no news of her opening up to interviews and other questions. I see underneath her, we have, in brackets, Cecile Die Twice. Cecile Die Twice must then be a group. Okay, yes, so it is an idol group. That explains a little bit. Oh, it's Ninny's band, okay. I mean, in the one-shot, it felt really weird that she was part of a band, but we never really brought that up. And Chapter 1 definitely, like, it didn't really expound on it, but it did use the band to characterize her a bit more. So if the band is going to be the B-plot of the whole run, that'd be pretty cool. Japan has idols. Maybe she's trying to get over the shock of being replaced by a CG character. Boy, Kubo's getting real, like, 2020 with this one. They're called Voomans. Ah, right, homie. You're right. I forgot. Vooman is also not a great name. Like, Virtual Idol is a really, like, there's a ring to a Virtual Idol. If we called them, like, Vitals, it would feel really weird. I'd be into a yokai series, but it's VTubers. That actually seems like an interesting twist on the genre. Oh, and I do like the zoom outs of, like, clearly someone's watching this, but who? Oh, so this is definitely Macy, and she almost certainly then has a pet dragon. Oh my, okay, these are some, I wouldn't say fantastic designs, but I assume these are dragons, right? These could also just be, yeah, like, look, that's a dragon wing. These have to be dragons. Oh, this is so cute. So Noelle is definitely best girl, right? Also, here's the question, like, is she at work right now, or is this just her house? Like, this looks like her house. But then that brings into question, like, is she allowed to have this many dragons? Because there's so many. Yeah, I mean, it's the paper from the mailbox. I was thinking at first, oh, maybe that is supposed to be, like, like she's at HQ or something. But no, this has to be her house then, for sure. Here's the thing, though, like, I mean, yeah, I guess they can be a commodity without being able to normally interact with them. Because as we know, like, you can't interact with them, like, normally unless you have, like, a really big suit. And even then, like, if you're from Front London, you absolutely can't interact with them. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that made me fall in love with the concept in the one-shots. Like, not just the idea of using dragons for natural resources, but just the sheer variety of them. The radio wave booster, the plant cultivation. Ah, oh, you can just get in them. It's like a bus. Where are all the organs? Do you just like sit next to its heart? But yeah, it's very Magic Flintstones. I wonder why that is. Like, we know that dragons, if exposed to like tons of like negative emotion, they turn into dark dragons. We also know that if a normal person is near a dragon of either type, they get like the dragon particles inside of them. So, do witches and wizards? I mean, I guess it might be both, but do witches and wizards like control their emotions to stop the dragons from going dark, or do they like have some sort of innate physical thing that keeps them from absorbing the dragon particles? I do really, really appreciate that Osushi is supposed to be very cute, and Osushi is consistently drawn as so cute, while at the same time looking like, like a normal dog of his shape. Like, it's a natural cuteness. It's not a, like, unnatural, uber kawaii cuteness. This is so cute! They're doing the classic room separated by a sheet. I assume this says closed till you die. Oh, that's so cool! I adore every tiny thing that Kubo's been doing. Like, the idea of a newspaper where you open up the normal newspaper and you get the reverse London newspaper is so wild to me. I mean, that actually feels so, like, Harry Potter-esque, without being something that actually happened in Harry Potter. Like, I guess the thing I really love about Harry Potter is that, like, as much as it causes weird problems in logic, I really like the idea of it being not not another world or anything, but specifically, like, all the things that, reverse Londoners need. All the things that magic people need are also things that normal people make. It is just, hidden in plain sight. The hidden in plain sight aesthetic is, I think, why people love the idea of, like, platform 9 3/4. It would be less cool if it was a, like, you can just go to anywhere and then get on a train and you end up at Hogwarts. Because it's so specific. So I see Volagos being used as the abuse pillow, absorbing all the abuse before before Noelle has to consume it. Oh, is it Sele? Also, the Wingbind logo, it didn't bother me at first, but now every time I look at it, I do think of the Warner Brothers logo, and that's really messing with me. But yeah, I really do appreciate that Noelle and Nini are both awful, awful people, but they do it in very different ways that are also very fun. Like, I mean, I was literally just reading a series where I was complaining about how I don't really like the main character because the way in which he is a jerk bothers me. Like, it bothers me in a way that is not then circumvented by his character, his personality, or, like, the cool things he does. Like, at the very end, it kind of made up for it, but even then, like, I still don't like his base personality. I also do appreciate, by the way, that Balgo seems to have really calmed down on his whole knickers thing from the one-shots. I didn't bring it up in the first chapter, but, like, it seems like the fact that he is not consistently screaming, "I want your knickers," and, Osushi also isn't doing it, like, I appreciate that. In general, I have been getting less and less okay with panty humor, just in the sense of, it's not that it bothers me from a, like, prudish perspective. It's just that it is so overplayed. It bothers me more than the idea of a series where a character is bait and, constantly attracts danger and then you have to defend them. His panty meter filled. I see. Oh, wow, that was yeah, we're 15 chapters in, we finally got this page. Which, first of all, did not expect to get one of these. Because we had a color page. I assumed that the color page stood in for the, the normal page. Really curious as to why Kubo did both, actually, because yeah, like, this also says, number 2 ghillie suits. Did he not expect to get the color page through, perhaps? Either that, or this is a new version of the classic Kubo, I gotta fill a page, where he's just decided, I'm going to just throw in some extra hearts. Now, as someone who is relatively recently unemployed, I want his job so much. Billy has the best job in the world. He just shows up. I mean, he just shows up, and he managed to make it into the SS. Which, granted, they immediately kicked him out because he didn't do anything, but still. Also, yeah, since it is a limited series, I guess it does make sense that every single page or every single chapter could have color pages. I mean, that and also series are dying left and right now, so I imagine Jump really wants Burn the Witch to be, a draw. Even if they don't want Burn the Witch itself to be like a big thing that everyone loves, at the very least, they want it to pull in people who will then read all the new series that are debuting. Noelle speaking the truth. Generally, organizations are structured so that superiors bear most of the setbacks as well as the benefits. Like, presumably he will be chewed out after this. But then again, he did manage to go to Sabers and then be kicked out, and he got his old position back, and it was fine. So, I don't know. I feel like he might be better off than them for sure. See, now this is also a very classic thing of the main characters have to go after, a problem, and that problem is directly tied to one of their friends that we haven't seen up to this point. But at the same time, like, I'm feeling better about this than I, would usually be, because we already have the setup, we already know how this is going to emotionally impact them, and I don't expect this to be a big, sad, emotional thing. I do expect it to be more of Nini just being extremely mad as a result. Then we get to see her, like, going full out because she's mad at her former bandmates. Yep. Gotta have the baits. Osushi in the hoodie is real cute. But I do hope Balgo can be slightly more useful than just literally standing around while things attack him. I mean, I guess, to be fair, he's the one taking care of Osushi. They have a friendship. So I guess he might also be Osushi's handler in a way. I'm not upset because I don't get it. I'm mad because I'm unhappy. That's a big mood. That's a real 2020 mood. See, I actually really like the level of pervy that Balgo is at right now. Like, he is the grateful perv. Which I do think, like, if you're gonna do a perv, I do think grateful perv is one of the least terrible ways to go about it. Like that, and also, like, he is satisfied. He isn't pushing at all. He is just happy to be there. Oh yeah, that isn't even one of their magic pipes. It is just a straight-up brass pipe. But yeah, I really appreciate that Nini is a reasonable student who still has, like, the extreme fieriness to her. Like, she has things that are extremely unreasonable, but then they're siloed off in places where they're actually fun and interesting. And then in normal conversation, she is manageable at the very least. And then Noelle gets to be, very sassy, and she gets to, try to aggravate others while at the same time she gets as good as she gives a lot of the time. Like, it works really well. I also do think the design is not that bad. I mean, leave it up to Kubo to take something that should not work, like just throwing on the mantle, and have it, like, I do think if he was wearing anything but a hoodie, this would look awful. The hoodie, I think, is the modern day, like, having a fur-lined, or I guess just having fur lining around your neck. It gives off that same energy a lot of the time, without looking too hoity-toity or looking too, over the top. It also, like, frames your head in a nice way, and depending on how you, like, pull it up and then pull it off, you can also, like, have it stand up a little bit. I don't know, I like hoodies. Hoodies are dope. But yeah, if anything, they should be listening to Osushi to see if he starts freaking out. Because if Osushi freaks out, that means that Balgo's about to be attacked. Like, Balgo himself would not know. Ah. It's the classic Shinji mouth. It's been a while. Oh yeah, this might be a problem, because yeah, she is famous. Oh, is Macy's illegal dragon trying to attack the building then? A man going in right before the explosion. Okay, so I do think this is actually Balgo, like, leaving the story temporarily, or like leaving the chapter. I don't think he's gonna come in for, like, a last minute save or anything. I do think it is going to just be these two like bonding together, because they do, like, even though they do know each other, they do seem to have this level of discomfort with one another. And I do think it would make more sense for the two girls to bond over the course of the very limited run of Burn the Witch than to try and also, like, develop Balgo as a character. Okay. Oh, that's an interesting concept, that if you destroy a building in Reverse London, the front building will also be destroyed. That also raises a big question, actually. Like, if Reverse London is literally the reverse of normal London, then how does that work? Like, I get how it would work with big corporations. Like, presumably, like, Sony and Samsung and, like, all the big ones would have, like, reverse London locations as well. But what about, like, a family restaurant? Is there just an equivalent family restaurant that still has the name of your family on it, but it's not staffed by your family if none of you are magic? Also, homie, good point, actually. Like, I was taken aback just because I assumed it felt almost like she was going to kill herself or something. Like, she has this very, like, calm, sad expression, but I also do appreciate that she doesn't look like a diva or anything. Alright, let's see this dragon. Huh, and it's not a dark dragon. It is a light dragon. Like, from what we've seen thus far, dark dragons literally look dark. So I guess the question then is, like, if it's a light dragon that has been positively trained in order to do bad things, like, can Pipers retrain it? Like, what do they do? Do they have the right to just kill a light dragon that is misbehaving? Also, that is a good question. How did she get to Reverse London? Like, who told her this? This feels like a really big, oh, there's a secret evil mastermind that is just using this woman. But we don't have enough time for that, right? I mean, to be fair, this is Kubo. I can't discount him. It's very possible that he'll do something that could be like a 2,000 chapter manga, and he'll just start it in 6 chapters, and then he'll say, you know, that's the slice you get. If you want more, I'll make more. You gotta ask for it. Like, my guesses for how Burn the Witcher will go are not predicated on the idea of it being a limited run series. I do fully believe that Kubo is going to write this as if this is a long ongoing series, but he's just going to, you know, like, section off a sliver of it. Also, interestingly, like, this dragon is wearing a sort of bone mask. Like, it's not a hollow, like, there is no big hole or anything, but the mask feels more hollow-esque than the other dragons we've seen thus far. Who is it who taught me to never believe anyone when they say they're doing something for my sake? Which I think also plays into the fact that she said just now, like, that she's doing this for, for Nini's sake. Like, whether that is Nini just being an awful influence, or whether it is her intentionally lying. Like, there's something up there. Now, it would be an interesting resolution if Noelle just killed the dragon because, you know, she's not involved in any of this. She has no emotional attachments. But at the same time, we kind of did that in the one-shot, and that was good in the one-shot, but at the same time, it would feel weird if the entire series was them killing dragons because one of them has some attachment to them and the other doesn't. That's a really good reaction. Oh. Now, I did not get that at all from what we saw thus far, but I guess that makes sense. Huh. I probably should have, yeah. Probably should have at least considered the possibility. Also, I mean, with most other creators, I'd be extremely concerned, and even with Kubo, I mean, I'm still concerned at how he's going to handle this, but I mean, to be fair, at the very start of Bleach, Kubo did introduce Chizuru, and even though Chizuru does nothing throughout the entire series, at the same time, like, she is a lesbian character who has a gag who isn't unbelievably gross, and, like, you know, she's okay for the time. I'm physically shaking because as I'm saying this, I'm doubting myself. I remember Chizuru being worse in the filler, but in the actual manga, I remember her being neutral. She existed. She wasn't offensive, I hope. So hopefully Kubo can handle this okay. I mean, it does seem like he's dipping into yandere energy right now. Oh boy, who's this? Is he one of the heads that we saw last chapter? He feels like he's one of them. I mean, it's got real big Grimjow slash... Oh! Also, homie, I'm currently listening to a Power Rangers recap podcast that is, it is Teenager's Attitude. I'm loving it. I would be down to take a listen to Chugging Bleach. That seems like a really cool concept. Now, Kumo does have a problem with this face. He also reminds me a little of Ginjo from the Fullbringer arc. Like, this face has been around. But okay, let me... Oh no, not the one-shots. I do want to make sure I know who this is in particular. Because also, like, if he's a big shot, why would he be here specifically? This doesn't seem big enough to warrant, like, someone equivalent to, I assume, one of the captains. Okay, yeah, he was from Inks. Yes, homie, please. I would love to check it out. So Inks, I assume, are... Oh! Like, Magic Circle Core immediately made me go, like, okay, sure, Magic Circles, whatever. But we haven't really seen any magic circles as of late. Like, we've seen incantations. We've seen, the not keto in Chapter 1. But also, inks, I assume, may have jurisdiction over the news in Reverse London. Like, literally the magic ink that they use to print the pages on, the normal news, so it turns into the magic news. In which case, that would explain why he wants to protect this building in particular. Or, like, why he would physically be here, I mean. Not why he would protect the building. But yeah, I hope that's where we're going with it. Because I know we don't have time to dip into each of these companies, but I want to see at least a little from each of these cores. I want to know more about the world, even if this is just one volume of world building that doesn't really go anywhere narratively. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Okay, so, anyways, that is Burn the Witch, Chapter 2. Good chapter. Like, this had basically everything I wanted. It had fun art, it had cool dragons. We didn't really do a lot, but at the same time, like, we're going somewhere. We got to see more of Nini being herself. We got Noelle and Nini, both being bitches in a way, but not being awful. It's been fun. But at the same time, it's not utterly standout. Despite not being utterly standout, I do think it is the best thing I've read thus far. Yeah, that goes above We Never Learned in Black Clover for sure, so let's see how it fares going forward. I mean, at the very least, it was solid. It was a good chapter. I want to read the next chapter. For better or for worse, like, it wasn't completely filling, but, I mean, Bleach was never filling. Bleach always gave me the feeling of, I really want to read the next chapter. Alright, no more dilly-dallying. That is Chapter 2. Let us move on to Time Paradox Ghostwriter. Final chapter, back then. Okay, so I kind of figured if anything was going to end this week, it was going to be Time Paradox Ghostwriter. Which, I mean, for most series, I'd be upset, but this series has felt like it was meant to be a short series the entire time. Like, especially with the time stop, like, this really did feel like the climax. Like, I don't know what else they would do. It would have to be an entire, like, new arc, which wouldn't really make sense with how tightly focused the series has been thus far. So, time now resumes. This child now has his ice cream once again. But, what in the world is this manga going to be? And also, what will he do if he does anything with the lifetime's worth of manga he has created in, the stopped time? Yeah, like, I would say, the way the series is right now, I am fine with this being the final chapter. But if the entire series were to be rewritten, I would definitely want it to have at least 1 or 2 more volumes to breathe. Like, the time skips in particular were felt very weird. Like, whereas with the early time skips, I thought those did make sense as a, like, the point of the series is not this point. I do think the first time skip I would have lengthened would have been, like, once the series got serialized and they were moving up to, like, when they were moving past the original, like, endpoint of White Knight. I think that definitely needed some work. And then from then on, like, every time skip we had after that point should have been lengthened to bits. Oh boy. It's a big call out. Now, what is the intended feeling here? I am still on the train of what he wants to do is not write a manga that is actually, like, everyone would think it's better than anime. I think he has written a direct attack on Aino. Or not a direct attack, but like a direct statement towards her. It is something that is going to affect her, but only really her. But it will affect her so deeply that she will stop, nearly dying as a result of her overwork. And of course, this is a parallel to the first, the first chapter when he read White Knights. And she's got an actual, like, look of joy upon her face. It isn't a competitive look. It's not a fighty look. Like, it doesn't seem like she's preoccupied with anything. Like, there is a legitimate joy to her. Plus, I do think this shot is interesting in that, like, I feel like she's not running, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not an outright sprint or anything. She is moving quickly, but at the same time, the sweat is not supposed to be the sweat of her moving quickly. I think it is supposed to be the sweat of her having read this. What is that manga? How did you do that? Now, I'm going to be a little upset if the finale is he did write a manga that all of humanity can enjoy. Like, not gonna lie. But I don't think this confirms it. I do think this is, at the very least, her perspective on it. I mean, there's no way. This cannot be a good ending if the ending is he wrote the manga that all of humanity can enjoy, and so she's just given up because, oh, it already exists. Okay, in my case, it was only because I was terrified of the thought of anyone not liking it. But that wasn't the only reason I drew manga. It's because I just plain love drawing. Now, also, this is gonna bother me if we don't see, like, anything of what this manga is. Like, that is a danger in a series like this. If we don't see what this manga was in the slightest, it's going to feel like it is just, he drew the magic manga that fixed all the problems. Ah, okay, he did it. The truth is, I drew that specifically for you. Which I do think makes sense. Like, I've definitely read things where they've shaken me to my core, and that is why I have such a big problem with recommending people things. Because I'm not very good at breaking out of myself and looking at something not just from someone's point of view. Like, I think I'm okay at empathizing with people, but I'm very bad at empathizing at what someone else would like in terms of fiction. Like, I do look at everything through a hard filter of, I think this is really good, or I think this is really bad. That's why I'm so bad with spoilers, by the way. It's because I personally have a really big problem with spoilers. Like, I fundamentally do not enjoy something as much if I understand it completely without, like, that's also why, how do I put it? Like, there are two horseshoes, like, there's a horseshoe, I suppose. On one end, it is, I understand everything going on here to my bones, and therefore I hate it. And on the other side, there is, I understand everything in this going to my bones, therefore I love it. We never learn as an example of, I understand everything on this page, I can barely be surprised by it, but it feels like, like chicken soup. It is something that I just adore because of what it is, and therefore, even if it's been, even if it is the most worn out thing in the world, I still adore it. But on the other end, there's like a feeling of emptiness I get when I've been spoiled on something. Because then it's like, okay, we're just going through the motions. I hope we get to something that makes me feel something. And so I definitely have a problem with, like, something hitting me personally in a way that I adore. And I immediately think, okay, everyone must think this. Everyone must love this thing as much as I do. And then I show it to them and they go, this was awful. And then it shatters my soul. But yes, this is the ending that I really hoped for. Like, yeah, it is impossible to create something every single person will love. And that is fine. That is fundamentally okay. You cannot create something that all of humanity will love. As long as someone else out there in the world gets it, even if you're just two of a kind, wouldn't that be a great stroke of luck? And I do see, like, she is missing the point here, but at the same time, I do get it. Okay, never mind, she got it. Oh, time skip. I mean, I said we've done a lot of time skips I wouldn't want, but I assume this is a time skip that is intentionally supposed to be the big leap. She looks so maternal, if that makes any sense. It's really weird. I mean, also, you can see both her eyes, and she doesn't have, like, the fringe in the middle. Not sure if I like Sasaki's look here, though. He looks younger somehow. He looks more like a boy than he did before. Oh, that's the end! Yeah, I think that's fine. It is, I mean, on my horseshoe that I explained, on the horseshoe of thing that I understand from the depth of my heart, I get it, I'm not being surprised at all, to, but I love it, to, I get it, I'm not surprised at all, but I hate it. This was definitely more on the, I understand this, but I get it, and I like it side of things. Like, I realized how weird it made me sound that I was talking about my weird feelings when it comes to being able to call something perfectly, while going through a chapter that, for the last 2 or 3 chapters, I have been calling perfectly. I'm also glad that they didn't actually hook up. I didn't even think of looking at their hands to see if they had hooked up or not. Man, I can't get over this shot of him. He looks so young. He looks like Negima. I mean, not quite, but there's something there that feels very Negima-esque. But yeah, I really like the idea of 2 people in the world being extremely important to one another without there being any romantic angle there. Like, they are just two people who are 2 of a kind. Like, they are 2 peas in a pod. And due to this intervention, Sasaki was able to save her. And I am genuinely completely fine with the explanation we got a few chapters ago of, like, what is the Force trying to save Ino? I am just I'm just a part of the story. The metatextual stuff is always a mixed bag with me. Sometimes it will just hit me in the wrong way, sometimes it'll hit me in the fine way. I thought for this, like, even if we had a volume or two extra, I wouldn't want to have a explanation of this is her parent or this is some other person. I'm completely fine with the explanation of I am the embodiment of the story you are in, and I am the one who made the story happen. Let's see what the comments are like. Usually I wouldn't dip down there, but I mean, it's the final chapter. I'm curious about people's takes. Yeah, I can see a lot of people not being super okay with this ending, and I think it's fine. Like, I will say, it could have been better, but I think, like, for all the chapters up until this point, I think this was the perfect final chapter. Like, if this were to be any better of an ending, the chapters before this would fundamentally have to be different. But yeah, I mean, Mikasa, what are you talking about? We got an explanation for the time machine and the robot. They are the plot. And the old man was, I mean, the old man was literally just an old man. It was just an old man who was a former mangaka who shared Shonen Jump with her, and then she loved Shonen Jump. And yeah, I do think, like, there must have been a problem, like, it must have been cut down a bit, but I do genuinely believe that this was not meant to be, like, a super long ongoing series. To be fair, I remember U19. I mean, the joke of U19 did not make it to 19 chapters is so easy to get to. Like, ask me this in 2 years. In 2 years, assuming I'm still doing the channel, of course, I genuinely do believe that of, those series, the one I will still, like, I don't think I'll remember Hungry Marie as clearly as I remember U19. I'll say that. I see a lot of people are just talking about how they're getting real tired of Jump canceling a bunch of series, and I will say, this is the only series that has, been axed where it feels like it's been axed in quite a while, where I'm completely fine with the ending. With everything else, I've been annoyed, or I've been, there's some level of dissatisfaction there, but I'm fine with this. Also, Pep, I do believe, like, U19 is actually meant to stand for under 19. It's just, rather than being literally under 19 chapters, in the series itself, it referred to people who are under 19. The series itself was about kids being oppressed by adults. And I believe that the kids had special under 19 powers, much like the kids next door. I mean, the kids next door did not have under 19 special powers, but rather they had access to secret technology that is, not allowed to be used by adults, which is why they get their memories wiped when they become adults. In the same way, U19, I believe, just had special powers that you only have if you're a kid, that the kids use to fight the upper class adults. So, that was, yeah, that's Time Paradox Ghostwriter. First of all, gotta put the ends tag on it. Secondarily, where does it go? I mean, it was no Burn the Witch, but I was satisfied with that chapter. I do think that goes right under Burn the Witch. So right now we are at... I mean, I don't know what that says about this week's chapters, that something like this where they're... Like, it wasn't an amazing god tier chapter, but it was still fine, and it still does go above most of the other things I've read. It's a little concerning. But that was the end of Time Paradox Ghostwriter. Next we have Undead Unluck, Chapter 29, Under. Oh boy, Under! Now, Under, of course, is German for un-the. Oh, that's a... Yeah, I actually really like that cover for Volume 3. I mean, I'm a big fan of the purple and yellow. I know the color yellow. But yeah, like, I do think in general those are pretty cool, and I really like the splotchy aesthetic of this chapter, or of this volume. I feel like, yeah, I think this was the right move. It could have been kind of cool if we had, I don't know, the title be cut in half or something with a scalpel, but at the same time, that might have been a little too corny. Now, why are they celebrating? This can't be the 1-year anniversary, right? No, it's definitely not the 1-year anniversary. But this isn't an in-universe thing, right? I mean, it's so simple, too. It is just the characters and confetti. What could this be? I mean, if anyone knows, do let me know. Oh, right, they won that award. By the way, I don't have a another explanation for what under could be apart from der, where der is German for the. I don't have another answer. Who are you people? What are you trying to accomplish? I mean, presumably because they're skedaddling, he's going to survive. But how? Ooh, maybe they have unhurt. Unhurt would be a really good way to fix this. Like, the easy answer of resurrect them does not apply at all in the series because, of course, we already have undead, and we know that undead is, you know, like, he's a self-negator. That immediately takes off the possibility of resurrecting people. I mean, I'm sure you could do it with some sort of crazy wordplay, but I mean, sure. Sorry, I just checked chat again. I am aware that under is a English word, but at the same time, I feel like they wouldn't. The mangaka would not use the word under without understanding that the first two letters are UN, right? I mean, to be fair, I guess it could also be like the reverse side of the union. Because the union also is not pronounced an ion, as far as I know. Oh, I actually... This is very silly, but I do like the idea of this being much like the Sternotter, where you have the union, and then below the union you have under. After all, I promise you, he won't be dying today. So how are they going to fix him? Like, I'm so excited for that, in particular because, because the series has limits as to how to fix people. I mean, I guess they could introduce an artifact that'll do it, which would be kind of sad. Like, I don't want a, oh, what was the one in part 7? A zombie horse situation. Where it is just, there's this thing that fixes us. That feels so lazy. Whereas, like, if it's a negator, that creates an immediate, you know, it adds more danger to being hurt, because you can't just fix everything. And yeah, like, the artifacts we've seen thus far do look like actual physical artifacts. Like, they do look like things that were made. Like, even Apocalypse, you know, even though it is animate, at the same time, it is a physical book. So I don't think that kind would be an artifact. And I can't imagine, I mean, we haven't seen any animal negators, so we can't go for the, this is an animal negator that is also sentient or anything. Or sapient, I guess. Oh yeah, they've been flown there for a while. Okay, so that did count as him dying at the very least. Huh. I mean, I guess that also raises the question, actually, of, do you have to kill a negator? Like, if a negator has a, this will last until I die, like, is it really, this will last until I die? Like, could you put a strong sedative into their bloodstream and then force that, you know, have that turn it off? Or is it, like, is it more of a magical thing? Is it more of a, like, you do physically have, your soul has to go to the afterlife? Because that would also fundamentally change what the, you know, in what way they're going to save his life. By the way, I feel like I'm pretty okay with Tatiana right now. Like, this is an awkward situation, but at the same time, I do think, like, the super long hair and the way she is drawn is fine. I mean, the corollary is that, like Unrepair's organization, whoever they are, like, they're clearly fine with killing people, so I assume they may have also tested, you know, the limits of how exactly negator powers work on unwilling subjects. Like, I don't think it would have to be specifically on them. They could just extrapolate from someone else, like, how their ability would work, if they have similar abilities, or similar limits. I mean, even if Chikara doesn't end up in the Union, which he should, like, I mean, he's not that powerful, but then, at the same time, like, we have other greenhorns, clearly they're gonna have to train everyone up a little bit. Oh boy, what is happening here? Oh boy, what did the mangaka do here? That is looking a little rough. But sorry, let's go back a sec. Even if Chikara does not in fact join the Union, at the very least, they should leave him his the tie. Because the translator tie is vital. He doesn't have anywhere else in the world if he does not get to keep the tie. Like, he's going to be fundamentally othered. Like, not just because he doesn't speak English, but specifically because he is one of the only people in existence who doesn't speak English. Like, I get the best case scenario would be that people would assume that he has some sort of disorder that's, messed with his brain and now he can't speak anymore and he has to relearn English. At worst, people might be even less charitable. Okay, so he's got a week. I'd be pretty fine with like following him for a little bit. Like if we had a full Chikara chapter, just kind of like viewing his perspective, that'd be cool. I don't think we're going to though. I think we've got way more pressing matters to attend to. I think it will be more of a skip of we'll focus on Union stuff, we'll focus on like big plot stuff, and then we'll cut back to him and he'll have said yes or no. Which I also don't think this is a universal yes. It's very possible that they'll keep him in reserve and we won't talk about him for like 50 chapters. And then around like, chapter 79, he'll come back and he'll be super cool and he'll have an eye patch. Hey, okay, so they did give him the translator. Oh boy. So, I guess he's back. Oh, he's so tiny. What happens? Shotarep. Huh. So they must have a time negator of some sorts. I mean, I don't know what the phrase would be specifically. Also, why would he have to de-age that much? Like, if it was a negation of time, then it would have just had to have been a I'll revert you to before you got shot, and that would be fine. Or even if it's the type of time travel where once he gets back to that age, he'll have a big hole blown in him. Then it would still be the problem of, well, in a year or so, you're gonna have to reverse it again, otherwise I'm gonna die again. The fact that he's so small makes me think that it must be some sort of like matter rearranging negator then. Either that, or I guess maybe if it is a time thing, maybe that negator just has a very specific like rule attached to their negation, in which like they can only do it by like 20 years or so. Yeah, because like undo or ungrow, like those are both things that I think are too. I mean, I guess it could be any of these choices with the additional uh like the additional rule of, by the way, you have to end up being a small child in order for this to work, or in order for this to save his life. Un-18. Wait, I screwed that up. It should have been un-19 if I wanted to play off of U19. Oh no. Oh boy, it's time for the big punch. Also, I did not I should point out for anyone who is new to this that I do really hyper focus on individual panels most of the time, so I did not read this at all. I'll be back to normal soon enough. So I guess this might have been like undo or something, or I don't know, because it can't be a just normal rewinding thing, because then eventually he would get to the point where he's shot in the chest again. Whereas I guess if it is something like undo, maybe it is maybe it is a problem of you can either go back, like you can go back 20 years and you can go forward 1 year. So we'll reverse your age by 20 years and then we have to age you back up 1 year at a time or something. Ah, I mean, it's a little concerning, but I wouldn't be against seeing a negator baby. There goes a baby tooth. Also, nice attention to detail that she doesn't just start saying Nico's name and then immediately swerve. She does at least try to cover for, what she was about to say. Now, does he actually mean I'm giving you a gift, or is this going to be like a grenade? Undead Unluck is a crazy enough series. I'd say Undead Unluck and Chainsaw Man are both series where I do think this, like, a chapter, like, because we are pretty close to the end of this chapter. They are the only two series currently running in Jump where I could see a character saying, hey, I got a gift, catch, and then it is a grenade, and then we end the chapter at, oh, it's a grenade. Okay, it's a handgun. It's an artifact, And he is saying it as if she'll learn something with the gun. Ooh, okay. Is this God? I mean, there are a lot of different big shapes here. But actually, no, never mind. I was messed up with the perspective. I think these are supposed to be, like, humans being washed away, and, like, this ancient civilization being washed away by God. Yeah, because this also looks like, they're bursting into flame. Because of these 2 points here, I was wondering if these were supposed to be demons or something, but no, those are eyes, and, like, flames coming out of the eyes. Now, here's the question. Is this a look at the past or the future? I kind of assumed past, but this could be the future of humanity then. Because otherwise, why would we have the buildings? I mean, I guess it's possible this is, you know, a Noah's Note situation in which humanity had progressed to this point and then God punished them and then he started setting down the rules or something. Oh, I'm currently watching Fire Force and I did not make the Fire Force connection. They could be level 1 Infernals. Oh, on God's rights? I don't really see it. I mean, I guess that could be a tablet, but it doesn't... The shape of it looks more like a building to me. And like over here, like it feels like this is supposed to be buildings. The God's right. This god doesn't have a face. We don't know if he's looking forward or backward. What do you mean the God's right? Am I supposed to be looking here? These all look like the same thing, which is why I thought they were buildings. Okay. So this isn't the function of the gun. Or, I mean, it might be a function of the gun, but also some artifacts do just give you an image. That's interesting. That's why we're going to rule the world before they come to destroy it. Unlike any of you, we can go to the next step. So, that's concerning. Because I mean, we are one failed mission from Oblivion. Or, you know, one failed round of missions from Oblivion. But at the same time, the fact that there is a next step being teased does imply to me that the series is going to jump off that cliff. Like, they're going to fail at some points, and we're going to see what happens next. And that is just a continuation of the series. Also, I love this perspective. Like, that's such a cool shot of, you know, both of these panels, and then super tiny we have our characters talking about them. Yeah, it's not quite there, but it looks a little Cannabis-esque. It also seems like these hunters are, yeah, like, like, where are we going with this? Is this a full-on attack where one of these sides is going to fall, or are we just building up the idea of them being a big threat? It should be the other way around, right? Otherwise, it'd be unfair. Okay, so they are under. Of course, we got the split there, because this was originally physical pages. But I also do, like, I like the split when it's between the and the rest of it. I see. Now, are they literally just under, or is this supposed to be the in German? Oh, you raised a very good point, Gumu Gumu Fun. Like, I'd say either his eye is constantly bleeding, or, like, this might be... Like, this might be the price for being resurrected. Now, that wouldn't really fit with the cover, but... Or maybe it's a price for using his ability? No, but because he didn't use his ability just now. I guess the best explanation would be, like, when he became a negator, at that point, whatever injuries he had are now unhealing. Also, interestingly, I didn't really consider it because, you know, anime logic, but, like, the legs are sized for him now. Like, they aren't just, like, the artifact is not 2 legs that are just one size, and then you better hope that they fit you. Like, presumably, Blade Runner does change its size to suit whoever wants to put it on. Now, Zaku, you also raise a good point, because we do see that part of the unrepair ability does unrepair does extend to, like, actually not being able to physically put the thing back together, or put something over it. I guess we haven't really seen put something over it. I guess it is possible then that, like, this eye patch is just kind of hovering over his face. Like, it's there just enough to keep the blood from running out most of the time. Oh yeah, they were waiting for Chikara. We kind of forgot about that. The pacing of this chapter was absolutely perfect. Like, anything that we were focusing on felt like it could be the entire chapter, while at the same time not feeling, like, unbalanced. It was a really, really good chapter. It had everything I like in Undead Unluck. Like, I'm going to put it at the very top right now. Like, no need to deliberate about it. Fantastic chapter. But yeah. Like, the blood is seeping through the bandage, which makes it... It definitely cannot... Like, it can't be a wound caused by unrepair, then. There is a possibility that, like, the wound on him is not actually being affected by unrepair the rule, but rather it is a consequence of having unrepair. Like, in the same way that, you know, having to be fond of someone in order for your ability to work does not mean that your ability includes the feeling of being fond. Like, I think they might be separate but still correlated in some way, or something like that. I guess it might also depend on where the wound is. Like, it's possible that he does still have his eye, but just like, there's his optic nerve or something has been cut. And so it's a tiny amount of blood, and putting the eye patch over his eye isn't fixing that at all. But it is still like, it can practically keep the wound in, or, the blood in for a set amount of time. Oh, that's actually a really cool idea. Like, specifically, Rondom just said, let me check to make sure the chat's showing up before I recap the whole thing. Nah, chat's up. I can be lazy. I don't need to say anything. You can read it. I do really like Rondom's answer here of, this might just be a normal wound that is completely unrelated to his ability. But the reason why it's always fresh is just that the healing ability does not, extend to his eye. So it's just a normal wound that is normally bleeding. Like, external negators also have, how do I put this? Can an external negator negate themselves? If Undead was undying, if, Andy was someone with the ability to resurrect other people, could he then resurrect himself? Or is he his own blind spot, in the same way that self-negators can't negate anything outside of their self? Yeah, Fuko can't generate unluck within herself. So it would make sense that Unrepair cannot keep himself, Rip can't unrepair himself. Or he can't inflict a wound upon himself that is now unrepairable. Yeah, it's extremely simple. We probably didn't need to go in circles around that, but I am dumb, and Undead Unluck is a extremely smart series, so I gotta bring it down to a level that I can fully comprehend. Anyways, that's Undead Unluck. Let's move on. Next we have Chainsaw Man, Chapter 82, Always Eat a Hearty Breakfast. Oh, I really fumbled the pronunciation of hearty and breakfast there, but my phone still accepted it. Yeah. Now, Denji's got a little of that Mind Break face going on. Well, even Mind Break face does feel too cartoony to say. He looks traumatized. With good reason. I was definitely never one of those people who watched Evangelion and said Shinji he's such a cuck because he is traumatized by being in the Evangelion and he doesn't want to pilot it. So I feel like I also can't say, oh wow, Denji, you suck so much because everyone you know and love is dying in front of you in rapid succession, and the person you love the most, the person who you have pledged your life to, just killed your only friends. Oh yeah, this is a real, how would I, what is the template here? It's a real, my girlfriend after her period, me after her period. Does that work? It's really the combination of dog that you are, just playing really nicely with, and then another dog trying to help you, but you're traumatized and covered in blood. There's something there. When you're at home and the Oreos are stale. Saku, that doesn't work at all with Makima. Why does Makima like the stale Oreos? Oh no, she's giggling. Oh boy. See, now, let me explain why this one bothers me. I mean, first of all, we've had a pretty good run of chapters where, they're definitely individual pages that seem like the happiest pages in all of Chainsaw Man. This one disturbs me in particular because it feels like Makima's been holding her breath this whole time. It feels like after doing that, she has this genuine happy joy about doing that. It's not a crazy laugh. If her eyes were open, I think this would scare me less, because then it would be like an evil laugh. But this feels like a wholesome, relieved laugh. I mean, that too, we've never really seen her let down her guard, and this feels like she is letting down her guard. Really, the lack of meanness and the lack of coldness here is what really bothers me. In exchange for you living a normal life, Pochita gave you a heart. What you made with Pochita wasn't a promise, it was a contract. Now, that isn't right. I mean, in general, that is true, sure. But if this is a contract, then the wording is extremely important. And the wording was, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. As I remember, the wording was, I'll give you my heart. In exchange, show me your dreams. Pochita wasn't saying, I want you to have a normal life. It was specifically, I want you to, to pursue the things you love. Like, show me your dreams. It's such a broad thing to say, but it also is fundamentally like much less restrictive. Like, it does not mean that Denji would have to live a normal life. I can see how this is both not living a normal life and also shattering all of Denji's dreams. Manga fan, good points. Now, both what I said and what Chad is saying makes me feel like Makima is just wrong here. Like, not in a bad writing way, but in a she doesn't understand what they said together. How can I make you so hurt that you'd be no longer capable of living... Whoa, I really messed that one up. No longer be capable of living a normal life. So damaged that you'd never be able to bounce back for as long as you live. So this is meant to be a big ol' mind break. Oh no, homie's doing the big long type. Kinda scared. But I will maintain that distinction of show me your dreams is different from living a normal life. Or, even living in happiness. Like, even if your entire life is nothing but suffering, you can still have a dream. Even if you cannot comprehend the idea of having anything good, you can still have a dream. Even if it is a dark and twisted dream, it's still a dream. Homie, I'm not saying that she's wrong about it being a contract. I'm saying that her statement of, in exchange for you living a normal life, Pochita gave you a heart, is incorrect. Pochita did not give Denji his heart in exchange for Denji living a normal life. Like, that is what I'm drilling down on. And that, like, the reason I'm also making this an important thing I'm talking about is because, like, Denji has to get out of this, right? Like, this can't be a Makima is the new character of, like, the new main character move for the series. The best way I can see this narrative playing out for Denji is that Makima's big old plan, like her move of absolute control, does not work out because her understanding of what this was is fundamentally wrong. Because she doesn't understand the idea of, like, such an open-ended contract. See, like, homie, I would disagree with the idea that Denji's dream was a normal life. Like, he really liked the trappings of normal life, but at the same time, like, how do I put this? The main character of, what was the series that just started this week? Phantom Seer. Like, Phantom Seer's main character wants a normal life. Like, he is extremely opposed to anything that is abnormal or, different. And I don't think that's the same for Denji. Like, Denji has been relatively accepting of weird things and weird people. Like, he's willing to integrate those things into his life. It isn't a desire for normalcy, it's just a desire for, I guess, some level of humanity. And he does strive for something positive. Yeah, Zaku, I think that makes sense. Like, the critical point is, what is Denji's dream, and how does he define his dream at this point? Like, right now, he has given up on wanting to do anything. Like, he is willing to he's willing to put his life in Makima's hands and do whatever she says. But even then, I don't think that is giving up on his dream, necessarily. This is really crushing, though. Like, I am a big fan of the villain who meticulously sets everything up, but that does have the downside occasionally of, feeling too forced or too fake. Like, how could this person possibly set this up? But this all does make sense. Like, she knows Aki to the extent that, she knows that he's not as, hateful as he seems. He would warm up to Denji in the same way. Like, we don't know what Power was like prior to all of this, but she is one of Makima's, like, named devils. Like, one of the a devil/fiend that was named after one of the ranks of angels in the Bible. So presumably, like, she knew Power well enough to know that she would work okay-ish with Denji, and, like, they would get to the point where she'd be the bratty little sister. And yeah, I do think that her end goal then isn't specifically getting Denji. I do think this whole time then she has been trying to get at the Chainsaw Devil. Like, by destroying the contract, she would be able to, like, no longer have them be a hybrid. Any happiness and normality you experience from this point on, I'll be the one to create it all and destroy it all. God. Whew. This is so painfully heavy. Like, this is the outright, you can't have happiness anymore. If you have any happiness, it is because I allow you to have it, and I guarantee I will take it away from you. I looked into your past. Children's brains are really quite incredible. You see, they can hide bad memories away behind a door without the child even knowing it. Okay, so this is the door, which also means this may not be the Chainsaw Devil. Or alternatively, like, the eyeball might be the Chainsaw Devil, but the door itself might not be the... I was expecting this to be, the classic, there's a demon inside of you, and there's a door, and you can open it up in order to gain more power. Like, I thought that's what that was, but this might just be then, like, the Chainsaw Devil hiding in the room that contains all of Denji's trauma. And so, by hiding in there, he's able to also protect Denji from it. Like, the constant refrain has been, don't open that door, which has literally been true in multiple cases. But I think it works both in that way and also as a general, like, don't think too hard about this. Like, this is the thing that will break you. I will stay here and, keep you from it. Door's open. No single eyeball there. Oh, wait. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Single eyeball is there, and it's looking the other direction. Like, that is not a person standing behind the door. That is just an eyeball, or presumably a two-sided eyeball, or even just like a ball in the middle there. That's an interesting note, because that would then imply that there was no one on the side. Like, there was a voice coming from the door, but that wasn't necessarily whatever this eyeball was. You're drunk and nearly killed you. You really had no choice but to kill him. But the other grown-ups wouldn't get their money back. Okay. I mean, that is... I really appreciate this for also, like, this is being told to Denji through the lens of someone who we know is actively trying to manipulate him. Like, this is a situation where we as the audience can look at this and say, yeah, he had no choice. Like, this does make honest sense. Especially considering the people who are after him in Chapter 1. Or, the people he was working for in Chapter 1. Yeah, I get it. I feel nothing, Denji did not commit a true sin here, in my eyes. But he still did something that he can feel guilty for. He did something that he did block out. And that combined with his, his personal killing of Aki and his permitted killing of Power, like, this might be enough to break him. See, Gomu Gomu. I don't know if that's like, I think the implication of that is that both sides have the paper and the eyeball on it. I mean, it could also be an art error, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that both sides of the door are supposed to look exactly the same. Like, specifically because of the eyeball there. Like, that's too obvious to not, to just be an art error. Now, what is the response here? Like, I don't think Denji is going to be able to do anything, but will the chainsaw do something? Like, I would not be surprised if after, I mean, we're 82 chapters in. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the point where the Chainsaw Devil finally, does something. Huh, actually, let's see. Before... You raise a good point. The doorknob is definitely in the wrong place. So, could be an art error. I mean, if it's an art error, it's such a wild art error, especially for such an important scene. I would be extremely surprised if... Yeah, that feels so weird to me. I mean, it could also just be dream logic, but at the same time, that's a real good catch. Thanks for pointing that out, Geared. It's also a fine implication. Like, I think that'd be such a fantastic misdirect to, like, for it to, like, if we were to say that, there is no Pochita in his mind. Like, if that voice was always his dad, if all of this was completely separate from being, being a hybrid, because that is something that I really do like in fiction. Like, I adore it whenever we have a series where, there is supernatural stuff, and there are, like, big character things, and then the big character things are not tied at all to the supernatural stuff, but they're still, waiting on their own way. Like, if there is enough there for, these people to have conflicts without the plot of the series also happening. And also, that's not a woof. I was waiting for a bark or for a woof, but no, that is him as a kid going, nuh-uh. Like, he has completely broken down. Like, I think she's broken him. Now, this is a real... I mean, this panel's got some real strong energy to it. Next chapter hit September 6th. This chapter hit real hard. This chapter hit for multiple years worth of my life. Also, I guess this could also make a pretty good reaction image. Like, overall, like, over here you have, simps who still think Makima is doing everything for the ultimate good. and then over Denji you got woke boys. Or I guess the other way around. I guess you could have it be people who still hate power, or people who still hate Makima over here. And then over here you have me and my boys who know that Makima is still best girl. I'm very bad at doing template memes, but I still like doing them, so I will continue to do them. Where do I rank this? I mean, I want to put it above Undead Unluck. Going through the chapter itself, I mean, it was a much simpler chapter than the last chapter, but it still was good. Like, I mean, it was so deeply focused on Denji and Makima, and then like the dogs representing, the various things she was talking about. Like that was all good, and yeah, I really do have to say this is probably better than Undead Unluck. Also, yes, always eat a hearty breakfast. I'm gonna slap it above Undead Unluck. It might change, but I don't think so. Like, Chainsaw Man has been dominating these rankings as of late, and with good reason. It is fantastic, and it's so consistently good, like, right now in this arc. It feels almost unfair that the series can, like, dip down a little bit while it's, not at its highest of highs. Like, while it's still building up to things, it is still better than most of the things that run and jump, in my personal opinion. And then when it hits highs, it just dominates. It is insanely good. Anyways, that is Chainsaw Man. Let's move on to Dr. Stone, chapter 163. From undue suffering to hopefully a good old time. Let's just turn off our brains and enjoy the rise of capitalism. See, I wish Senku was completely unconscious this whole time. Like, it's fine, and I do get it, like, there's some things that Chrome just would not know. But at the same time, I really like the concept of, like, having Senku completely cede control. I think that's just a really neat idea for a mini arc. Like, this isn't even a full arc, or a saga or anything. Now, don't know how I feel about the idea of Luna joining the harem. I will say, it's not even that harem-y, but the quasi-harem aspect of Dr. Stone bothers me a little bit because it's not that interesting. Like, it's the feeling of, yeah, I know Senku's not really gonna do anything, and also, like, this doesn't benefit the girls at all. Like, even before we got to this current part in We Never Learn, where we understood that, like, we're gonna do all the routes. Even before that point, I really liked We Never Learn for, like, building each of the girls' relationships in a way where even if they were not going to, like, have a romantic relationship, they were still better off, and they were still genuinely friends. Like, they were better off as a result of all of this. They weren't just, pining after someone who would never return their feelings. Like, it was that, road between friendship and romance. Whereas, like, none of the girls that hang out with Senku, like, they do seem like they are aiming way more for romance than friendship, and then it's unrequited. I mean, with the exception of Kohaku, who I do not think of as a romantic interest at all. Like, I don't think of them as love interests at all, but I feel like every arc we've had a female character who shows up, who is sexy, who shows some weird level of interest in Senku. Like, not to the extent of Kohaku immediately showing up and saying, I think I'm in love with you, and then immediately backtracking on that, but I feel like there's a lot of, like, weird blushing and stuff around Senku. Like, it's enough there that you can construct a ship, but not enough that I think is, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, or that it's even intended to be truly harem-y. Also, Pep, to be fair, I am also someone who believes that, like, love without a payoff, or without, getting the other person, quote-unquote, I do think there is value in that, to some extent. It's just, I rarely see that in manga, so I find it hard to ascribe that level of motivation to most manga. We Never Learn legitimately is one of the only examples I can think of a series where the characters have love, and, even in situations where it is clearly love lost or love unrequited, it is still they are still being built up as people. Like, it is still worth it because of what they went through. Like, it is better to have loved and lost than to not loved at all. Whereas, like, in Rosario to Vampire, I do feel like, no, it would have been better if you had never loved, because you kind of just, you throw your heart out there, and then nothing happens for 200 chapters, and then you have your heart crushed. I mean, I do fundamentally believe that Senku is not going to be in a relationship at all. Like, like, romantic relationship, I should say. I do not think they're, like, he might be nominally paired up with someone in the epilogue, but I don't think the series is actually going to go anywhere with him and another person. Because he's just not that kind of character. Like, I do think they're going for a more asexual, like, not actually, I guess, but more of a, like, science nuts perspective with him, as opposed to anything regarding romance. Oh boy. I will say, though, I really do like Luna as a character. Like, her motivational speech to me is really, really good. It's got that very Cardcaptor Sakura Zetai Daijabu Dayo energy to it. Of like, I don't 100% believe in myself, but I'm going for it. And then when it does work off, when it does work out, she gets to actually, have faith in herself and be better. Okay, what could she possibly want? Oh boy, here we go! So, Luna's going for it. And, I mean, I do think that Senku is, like, fairly asexual as a character. It's just, I don't know if Boichi's willing to go there with him. I don't know if Boichi or Inagaki are either, like, I don't know if either of them are willing to actually state it. I feel like Inagaki is he's too normie. I feel like he's the kind of person who would write Senku as asexual up until the epilogue. But to be fair, Dr. Stone has had a lot of fan service, while at the same time, they haven't really delved into the big ol' like, oh, I'm such a pervy perv comedy, but they've done a little. I guess it's mostly just that, most characters don't dive into that. Like, the cast is segregated into the horny ones and the other ones. Oh no! What did Carlos do to deserve the suffering? I mean, there is the person you like, falling in love with someone else, and then there is being tied to a tree and listening to it, and also the person the person you like likes is the enemy of your entire country. That's the NTR squad. Okay. So he is willing to jump ship because of his loyalty. That's actually really surprising. I mean, I'm glad that he's not going for the toxic because I hate you, I will do everything in my power to destroy you, foul woman. I'm glad that he's going, like, I'm glad that he likes her for reasons that aren't just being real horny. I mean, I guess you could also read it as being maximum simp, but I would like to read it in a more charitable sense. Of course, Gen immediately figured this out. Oh boy, okay, what is the death machine they've been building this whole time? I'm still gonna go with it's probably a crazy bomber or something. I swear, if it's a mecha, I'm gonna lose my mind. I mean, it would fit Dr. Zeno very well if his big thing was, we don't need to do it right now, but on the back burner, let's make a mecha. And now that the Kingdom of Science has shown up, he's finally decided to go all in on making a mecha. That would cement his relationship to Senku. Like, there's something very clear and powerful about the relationship. Oh, this is a real Luna. Oh no! Oh no! The truth is slowly dawning upon her. Her heart may not want to believe it, but her mind's already gotten there. By the way, when I think about Senku, I do legitimately, no joke, I do think of him as a twice divorcee. Because I keep on forgetting that he did not marry Amaryllis. Like, when the Island arc started, my assumption that he would marry Amaryllis was so extremely strong that I just took it as fact. Like, it does hit me every once in a while, like, oh yeah, he never married Amaryllis. I was wrong about that. It is literally on the same level as me not realizing that Rocklock is still alive in My Hero Academia. Spoilers for My Hero Academia, whoops. Oh boy! Boy, this is a wild design. For a moment there, I had big Zipman vibes with the runway. I thought for a moment this was going to be a thing where, like, they unzip the front of the ship and it expands or something. But no, we're just showing off the big runway that's here now. Wait, Senku's in there! I mean, I guess, that's the best chance, is like they have someone who can fly a plane and they have a science man, but at the same time, that's a little weird. Also, why couldn't they just put Chrome in there? I mean, I guess Chrome's digging the hole, but still. For an arc that I was really hoping was going to be a Senku light arc, we sure got a lot of Senku. I do think this design is pretty cool. Like, it's not my favorite, but it's fine. And I'm really excited to see this dogfight now. Overall, okay chapter. I mean, to be fair, I do like Luna a lot. And I do think this was a good end, not ends, because I imagine she's still going to be barking up the wrong tree for a little bit, but I do think this is a fun way to take her. Like, she does get what she wanted, but at the same time, she was very quickly introduced to the truth of Senku. Like, she's not completely delusional now. Like, she's been told at the very least the truth. Yeah, I don't, what would my top 3 be? I mean, I think my top 3 right now would still be Kohaku. It would be Kohaku, then Luna, then... Would I make Yuzuriha number 3? Maybe. Like, if we're doing traditional, like, like, the characters that are clearly meant to be waifu material. If I were choosing just female characters, then it would be, Kohaku, then Suika, then Luna. Overall, good chapter. Where would this go? Also, I see I've got 4 pings on Discord. That's concerning. I'll get to it later, though. I feel like in terms of pure enjoyment, like, the plane stuff has never, like, it hasn't really given me any big feelings as of late, and Luna was fine, but, I think I was overthinking the point of her arc here a little bit. So I may have mentally poisoned it a bit, but at the same time, it's... I can't unthink the things I've thought. So I'll slap it below Time Paradox Ghostwriter. But still above We Never Learn. Yeah, that feels right. One more series, then we are out of here. My Hero Academia, chapter 282. 282, not 800 and... oh no, I already typed it out. Now, where is he flicking this? I feel like it's gotta be Aizawa. There's no way he would aim anywhere else. Okay, 100% Wyoming Smash. Oh boy, right in the teeth. That is insane. Yeah. Also, depending on how they frame this, like, if Shigaraki's actually knocked out, I think they could do a really cool parallel between this and the shot we saw, very early on of All Might, like, standing over the corpse of All For One with the head annihilated. Oh, okay, it did hit him in the leg. I was too focused on the other 2 heroes to notice, like, the very obvious big bright thing there. Like, that's my failing. That's not Horikoshi's. Horikoshi nailed it. Oh, Pep, no. Bad. That's just bad. Not allowed. Is he gonna cut his leg off? Oh, I mean, that's the question. Oh yeah, I saw his jaw. Like, I'm not discounting the jaw. It's just I'm focusing more on Aizawa's face right now. Because it looks like one eye is almost closed, but not quite. Other eye still open. And it looks like Aizawa is going to cut his leg off. So the big question is then, will he blink while he's cutting his leg off? / is he capable of doing it? Because also, like, naturally, Deku has to keep Shigaraki preoccupied. Oh, did it come off? Oh, thanks, Manga Fan. I'm gonna be honest, I thought this was this hero's leg. It did not, like... Yeah. That's a little messy. It could be a little better, but at the same time, I think that's also my failing for not really understanding that. I was looking at him and expecting this leg to be the one that was cut off. Pep, I don't know what you're talking about. Rocklock's dead. Oh boy. Now that is a gnarly jaw image, or, gnarly face image. Hot damn. I mean, it's also, like, that is not manga-style, exaggeration. That is physically the way his head looks, which is absolutely insane. I mean, this is a nightmare. If my power was, connected to blinking, there's no way I wouldn't blink in this moment. I do not have the capability to not blink in the face of this. Also, I guess this does bring up 2 questions. Number 1, if Aizawa blinks one eye, like, if he is staring at both eyes and he blinks one, what happens? Secondarily, if you were to reach out and grab his eyelids and squish them closed, like, does that count? Like, is it the motion of his muscles going over the eye, or is it just the eyelid going over the eye that, deactivates his negation? By the way, one last thing, Shigaraki does look like a creepypasta. This is definitely a, like, Gen Z is definitely going to look at this and say, if you don't tag, I don't know, what is the Gen Z thing? I guess it would be like, if you don't at 20 of your friends in this tweet, Shigaraki with big mouth is going to chomp you. Oh, whoa. This seems to be a chapter of me misunderstanding things. I didn't think of this as fire. I guess this might be ice, actually, not fire. But I thought this was more of a kinetic blast as opposed to, like, ice. Yeah. Oh, back there. He was the one following them. Ah, man, Deku looks so cool. Yeah, now, I'm not totally sure what recovering his hand in Black Whip would do. I will say, though, there is a hand or, like, slash arm in Black Clover recently that was described as, being absolute power, and it didn't look that cool. And I do think this gives off way more of an impression of this hand is power itself. Okay, yeah, good points. I mean, first of all, it's been a while since we've seen Deku break his arm. I mean, it's been a long while. But yeah, that does make sense. I mean, both as a, like, it's probably holding his bones in place as they've been destroyed, and secondarily, like, the Black Whip might be acting as a spring to, like, absorb some of the shockwave. Oof, and there's a tiny little sliver of eye open over here. Does that count? I mean, destruction does feel inevitable. I can't disagree. This feels like an absolute battle of attrition that Shigaraki is winning. Like, I am really liking this pit in my stomach right now. By the way, I feel like at some point Deku has to get super regeneration. I mean, I think it'd be much cooler if he never does. And, like, it would be much less of a cheaty way to get around the imposed limitations of All for One. But at the same time, like, it feels like such an obvious buff. I guess my third option, actually, is at some points, whether it's All for One or whether it's Shigaraki, like, someone will offer super regeneration to Deku, and Deku will refuse it. I think that'd be a lot better than it being one of the vestiges. Like, one of the vestiges' quirks. Because then, like, Deku would have to be given the opportunity and then be allowed to refuse it. Whereas, like, if it's the power of a vestige, it'd be stupid for him not to accept it. In fact, it would, be going against the point of his ability. Oh, no. Okay, so this is obviously going to be Gigantomachia, right? The Shin Godzilla move didn't work. He's still going. Also, this gives me a, like, it's not quite as overwhelming as, like, a certain scene in Chainsaw Man, but, like, the weight of this, like, the weight of these speech bubbles filled with the cities, then implying that each of these cities are going to be annihilated. Like, yeah, this is raising the stakes, and I really do appreciate this for, really making Gigantomachia feel like the most dangerous thing in the world. I mean, in this arc, where we already have a character that feels like the most dangerous thing in the world. But B, like, it also clearly gives everyone something to do. Like, if they all do something to stop him, like, they might still lose. This is a really good excuse for, a big ol', like, all of UA plus all of the heroes that are still maybe around that could potentially get there. Like, it's perfect. Oh no, not Den-O City. I don't feel too bad for these people, because these are definitely the people who don't wear masks during coronavirus, or who didn't wear masks when the thing started, even though they had the ability to get them. Like, there is no way that they did not, like, send out an evacuation notice, right? There's no way. See, I'm a little worried about that. I mean, from the very start, I'd say not from the very start, but from maybe the first time UA got invaded, like, from that point, I felt like we haven't had enough academia in My Hero Academia. And to be fair, most of my favorite parts of the series in recent years have been a result of the parts that are not the academia. But at the same time, I don't know how I feel about going full My Hero. Homie, I do agree, actually. X-Men Academia has been the thing I wanted. Like, from, I feel like as long as I've been doing reactions to the series, I have been stating that I want more X-Men-y things going on. Like, I would much rather prefer it as X-Men, as a thing where it is, like, simultaneously school and doing real things in the real world. The school stuff has been, like, limiting the real world stuff, and the real world stuff has had no real connection to UA. Apart from, like, a teacher being involved or UA being invaded, but it hasn't felt the way the X-Men series does, where it is like the simultaneous, we'll do a mission, then we'll have school stuff go on, then we'll do personal life stuff. And to be fair, uh, did I say this yet? I remember on the podcast that we did a long time ago, I remember specifically calculating like how quick Gigantamakia was, and the idea that Gigantamakia was blazing through Japan at one point. So if we do take that speed as canonical, I guess that would make sense. Like, all these cities are super far apart, and they're so far away from Gigantamakia that by the time he gets there, like, they haven't had time to sound the alarms. Before, I was under the impression that they, by the time Gigantamakia would have gotten there, they would have, like, sounded the alarms, they would have said, like, get to a shelter. Like, all the things that Japan actually does do when, an earthquake is about to happen. But I think that is a little too much to expect from something like this. Like, the later cities that he's going to get to, by that point they might have enough time to get to shelter, but the early cities really don't have enough time with how fast he can move. Thanks for the actual numbers, Lamp. Whew. This has been an exhausting chapter. Still, like, fantastic. Yeah, I'd say this deserves to go into the top 3. Like, Burn the Witch Chapter 2 was quite good, but this, I also have not been, like, super into every single chapter in this arc. It's been overall a very good arc, but it's definitely had its highs and lows to me particularly, so I'm gonna give it what it's due. This deserves to be in the top 3. So let me post the current rankings, and then we are off to the author comments. So this is, so Tokugoto, at the very least, is, a new to Shonen Jump. Kento Matsura. Okay. I mean, I know there was a one-shot based on there was a one-shot that was then developed into the series. So, I guess they both worked on the one-shots, but the one-shot didn't run in Jump, or I guess Tokugoto just means literally, this is my first series in Jump. Not my first entry, but, like, a one-shot is not a series. Fair enough. Tight Kubo. Okay, so yeah, there will be color pages with every chapter, and that wasn't, like, announced at the start then. Cool. That's a good flex of his, long-time authorly powers. I mean, I'm very glad that Yoshifumi got, got first place for Undead Unluck. Undead Unluck deserves popularity. I'm so happy that it's getting the big boost it deserves. It would be heartbreaking to me if it was a series that, if it was a cult classic. It does not deserve to be a cult classic. It has something for basically everyone. It is just genuinely really, really good. Boichi being wholesome as always. I may have my disagreements with his taste, but he is pretty consistently wholesome in terms of his author comments. Fujimoto! Of course, classic, he does not talk about food. He also does not talk about the chapter. It's a real third option. I feel like he's really making sure, like, he's really letting us stew in the emotions. Which I can understand, like, even if it isn't one way or another, like, just having someone who is a part of, a movie or a TV show or something comment on something in any way, especially, like, ambiguous endings or, like, having that commentary from, God, quote-unquote, the word of God, or anything to that regard, like, it can change the way you feel about it. Just having that clarification can, reduce the amount of anxiety you feel. And I do think Fujimoto wants to maintain a level of discomfort and anxiety with this current arc. So this makes sense. I'm going in for my first hair coloring, and I think I'm going to try white. Oh man, that's so chuny. To be fair, I've never seen Gege Akutami, like, IRL, so I wouldn't be able to say which color I think would fit. I mean, most mangaka do not want to show off what they literally look like. I mean, I do appreciate the honesty there, and I do think like Akitami is really the opposite of Fujimoto in that sense. Like every author comment, not everyone, but a lot of their author comments seem to have some level of, hey, I messed up in this chapter, or hey, here's this little extra thing about the chapter. Like there's so much extra context you only get from the author comments, which really feels like when I first got into Jump, I feel like I expected that more often, but it's been beaten out of me. I'm so conditioned to think of the author comments as not really being anything of value that it feels weird to see Akitami's author comments occasionally when they're referencing something that happens in this chapter or a previous chapter, and it's so like tied into their series. I got a half day off, so I put on shoes and left the house for the first time in 5 months. I didn't forget how to walk. Oh boy, that's some real mangaka energy there. Like, that's not even I got a day off, it's I got a half day off. Kentaro, what is happening to you? Maybe Ayakashi Triangle is all digital, or if not all digital, at least like it's sent in digitally, and then he can meet his editor digitally. It's possible. Now, I don't know if this chapter of Me and Roboco counts as a scary story. I also don't know if it counts as a horror chapter. I mean, I guess it does in the most nominal sense. Like there are actually a lot of like shots that feel very inspired by other horror manga. So I guess I won't be too harsh about it. Like, it didn't scare me, sure, but at the same time, it definitely had the trappings of someone who likes horror stuff and knows, like, if you see a faceless girl in manga, like, this is how it looks, as opposed to, I've never done this before, I'm just gonna give it a shot. I bought a stand that keeps my smartphone in place. Now I can take pictures of myself drawing without troubling my family. It feels very on brand for Taishi Susui to have up until now been just like getting his kids or getting his wife to hold his phone and take pictures of him while he's drawing manga, and it's only been until the end of his very popular series that he's decided, oh, I can get a smartphone mount that I can then remotely control. Which is, boy, to be fair, that is also something where I could genuinely see someone not realizing that exists for the longest time. Like, I bought one when I started my channel, like really started my channel. Most of my early videos were done on my phone, which sucked because also my phone could only record 30 minutes at a time. So I had to like record it in bursts and stitch it together, and then also stitch the audio from my mic to the audio from my phone. It was wild. Anyways, that's all to say that it seemed like a really weird comment at first, but I get it. Kenji Ichima leaves coolly. Tomohiro Hasegawa. See, I don't know if he feels like the kind of person who plays Mii Fighter but dressed as Sans, or whether he just really likes Megalovania and sets it as the default soundtrack to all of the stages on Smash Ultimate. Alright, that is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of August 30th, 2020. Overall, it was a fun time. It had its ups, it had its downs, it had its Phantom Seer. I'm actually really surprised they didn't use the term seer in Phantom Seer. Like, not a whole lot of this was based around being a seer. Huh. Weird, but maybe there's a reason for it. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm gonna just not do a whole lot of preamble. If you want any, like, current happenings, see those in my weekly update or on the server. Check out the server if you haven't already. I don't know how you possibly could because I plug it constantly, and also half of you are watching this on the server live. Thank you all so much for watching. It's really been a pleasure. Bye for now. Nya nya.